Hello and welcome to Path Made Easy. Today's example is a branchial cyst. So this branchial cyst occurred in the lateral part of the neck in a fairly young patient, which is the classic presentation for these types of cysts, and they're developmental. So it has the usual parts of a cyst. So it's got the cyst wall and epithelial lining, which I'll show you in more detail, and then the middle, which is the lumen. So in a branchial cyst, this is the sort of epithelium that you might see. So it's quite thin, attenuated, stratified squamous epithelium, and it's cytologically bland. You don't want to be seeing any atypia or anything worrying like increased mitotic rate or cells with pleomorphism. Sometimes you might see focal keratinization and maybe the odd mucus cell, but generally speaking, it's quite a nondescript epithelium. In the surrounding cyst wall, you get a lot of lymphoid tissue. That's definitely part of the presentation of a branchial cyst. So it looks a little bit like lymph node or tonsillar tissue, and sometimes you'll see some germinal centers as well. And that's all there really is to a branchial cyst. The main thing you need to be cautious of is in an older patient, so 40, 50 plus, don't forget that cystic metastases from head and neck squamous cell carcinomas may mimic a branchial cyst, particularly in small biopsies where you don't appreciate the atypia in the lining. So that's where your clinico-pathological correlation is really important. And sometimes additional tests can be useful. For example, in oropharyngeal cancers that metastasize to the cervical lymph nodes, sometimes they're quite cystic. P16 alone isn't going to be that useful because sometimes branchial cysts stain for P16. But if they're positive for HPV on HPV PCR or ISH, then you really need to have a close look at the tonsil and oropharyngeal region to make sure they don't have a primary in that location. Because the lining isn't always that atypical, so you really do have to be cautious. In this example, we've got the whole cyst, so we can confidently say there's nothing worrying and there's no proliferation of that lining into the cyst wall. So this is just a typical branchial cyst. I'd like to thank Pathogenesis for hosting the video, and if you enjoyed watching this, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, Path Made Easy. Thank you.